Hey, what is up guys? Peter here from Reviews on Anything, and this is a review of the Nike Air Zoom Elite 8. Now obviously there's a wide range of colors available to suit your personal taste, but this is very standout-ish. So if you like to be noticed when you're running around, this is probably the shoe for you. Now Nike obviously makes a whole range of running products, but this is a shoe specifically designed to be light, and we'll get into the specifics of that in a minute. This is the size 42 for the European viewers under you, which is usually my size. But this being Nike, it is slightly on the small side, so be aware that if you're buying a Nike product, especially when you're buying it online, without trying it out, that you might want to go half a size up in order for it to be completely comfortable in your size. Otherwise you have to start messing around with thinner socks or thicker socks and so on, which is unnecessarily complicated. So be aware that they fall a bit small in general. A quick look around the shoe. Let's put one to the side, let's make it a bit easier. You can see it's a nice sort of wedge shaped shoe. Perfect for running, obviously, which you can also see on the bottom. It's the classic running shoe shape with a thin inside, and sort of the wedge makes a smooth transition like so possible when you're running. Then the lacing on the top, pretty standard stuff. Very thin mesh on the top. They obviously do that to not only save weight but also to keep your feet as cool as possible. This vents very well. Obviously you can see the downsides right away. When it starts to get a little wet outside, your feet will definitely get wet that way. But when it's not wet and you're running, it does a great job in cooling your feet slightly, which is always nice. Obviously the shoe, like I said, designed for running with the wedge shape, and definitely not designed for quickly changing direction, any kind of court work or anything in that matter. You can see that the outside sole is designed to have special stiffness, so your transition is smooth, and the inside of the foot is nice and grippy, so you have a good push with the inside of your foot with your big toe in order to get good speed up. And it actually does a good job in making that transition as smooth as possible, especially when you're running on something not completely even, maybe in a forest or maybe on some kind of gravel road. It does a pretty good job to make your ride or your walk, your run, so to speak, comfortable, but still very efficient with the push you get from the grip here, which is great. And the inside of the shoe, it's hard to see on camera obviously, but there's quite a lot going on there. They've gone through quite a few lengths to make this shoe almost cup your foot. Anybody who's ever worn a snowboard shoe, for example, knows the feeling when your foot is nice and sort of secure in the boot. They've done a lot of the same things here to make sure that your foot, especially your heel here in the back, is as stable as possible and your foot doesn't slide and move about in the shoe. Which is another point of attention, especially when you're an avid runner. You really should go to a store and buy the shoes out. Try the shoes out, sorry. Because obviously, when you're running 5, 10, 15, 20 kilometers, there's going to be a lot of strain on your feet because that's the contact point with the road. And the shoe makes or breaks your run, really. This shoe does a great job in giving you good support, making your fit inside the shoe very secure. But that's certainly not for everybody. If you have an odd foot or if you just have a different preference, that's something you only find out by wearing the shoe. Unless this is a model that you're familiar with and comfortable with, I definitely wouldn't buy it online without trying it out in a store first. Now, to further add to the comfort of the shoe, they've included something called asymmetrical lacing. You can see that there's a little piece of rope here sticking out on the side, which is where the actual laces are attached. And you can clearly see that this is not the same as on the inside of the shoe. They've done that obviously to distribute the pressure that you'll inevitably get from the laces, because you want to make the shoes nice and tight so they fit nice and snug. But that creates a lot of pressure on the ridge of your foot. So by doing this, they try to redistribute the weight and the pressure that the laces will put on that ridge of your foot in order to make it more comfortable for a longer period of time. Has this worked? Yes, to a degree, but I wouldn't say it is a revolutionary system or anything. If you put your laces tight, you're gonna get pressure on your foot. There's no way around it. But luckily, when you're running, obviously the shoe moves about, your foot moves about inside, so it's inevitable that they'll get a bit looser. And that's usually when the pressure goes away. I always find that if your laces are so tight that your feet start hurting, you really should either get a different shoe size or just lace them up not as tight, because obviously when your foot doesn't get any blood anymore, that's not a very beneficial situation for anybody. So it helps a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's the last word in making laces more comfortable. So then, the Nike Air Zoom Elite 8 running shoe, is it recommendable? I'd say yes. It is a shoe that's comfortable. What really stood out for me is the way that your foot is nice and snug and cupped inside the shoe, making the run for me much more enjoyable rather than having a shoe where your foot flops about in all the time, because that causes blisters and is just generally uncomfortable. I think the shoe does a great job in cushioning and dampening your run without being too bouncy or too dampening. I think for me it is right in the middle of comfortable, supportive, and still being able to get a nice a little kick out of the shoe in order to make the run a lot smoother. With the sole, I think they've done a good job here to provide you with a way to make the transition nice and smooth and still grippy on the inside, like I said. The technology inside, it's part marketing, blah blah, but it does work and it does make for a comfortable shoe. And a brand obviously like Nike with so much experience in all kinds of sports, it's a brand that you can trust by designing a good shoe that is actually functional for you as an athlete. The color, that has to be your preference, but obviously you can go for different colors. I really would stress though that you should try them out in the store before buying them online, not only for the size but also for the way it is shaped around your foot, which is obviously all down to personal preference. For €130, I think you're getting a good mid-range shoe. It's certainly not the cheapest shoe out there, absolutely not the most expensive one either, but this is a shoe that'll get you along very nicely if you're an amateur runner that goes running in the weekend occasionally. This is definitely a good shoe. For a pro runner, I don't know, that's not something that I am. For a pro runner, I think it's still a very comfortable shoe, but they might want to have a shoe with, more features or personalized footbed or anything. All in all though, I think this is a great shoe for the money, and I think you're getting a good product for that money that you'll definitely enjoy your runs in. This was Peter from Reviews on Anything with a look at the Nike Air Zoom Elite 8. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!